what we call a 6-month secondment contract under the Ministry of Labor. Yes, most of you will agree with me. You're coming to the country, and we find that we have what we call a 6-month secondment, and this is under the Ministry of Labor, and it is under load reason 250. Most of you will apply for change of sponsorship, but however, you find that your change of sponsorship, your rejection reason may give 250 reason. By the way, did you know what a 250 reason when it comes to rejection of change of sponsorship? Yes, one of the reasons why you may be rejected for change of sponsorship is that you've not completed what we call yet or Mex from the Mexcreationtv, and someone was asking me about what we call a 6-month secondment contract under the Ministry of Labor. Yes, most of you will agree with me. You're coming to the country, and we find that we have what we call a 6-month secondment, and this is under the Ministry of Labor, and it is under load reason 250. Most of you will apply for change of sponsorship, but however, you find that your change of sponsorship, your rejection reason may give 250 reason. By the way, did you know what a 250 reason when it comes to rejection of change of sponsorship? Yes, one of the reasons why you may be rejected for change of sponsorship is that you've not completed what we call 1 year. So once you've not completed 1 year, then they will give you rejection reason 250, meaning that you're supposed to meet up the requirement, which is the minimum, requirement, which is 1 year. Then you can do what you call change of sponsorship. However, to some situations, most of you found your situations that you are eagerly have to move, or you want to move to a new company, and the new company needs your service. In this situation, this is what we call a 6-month secondment contract, which a 6-month secondment contract, the current company that is willing to take you will apply in the Ministry of Labor for the old company. Then the old sponsor will either have to approve. For the secondment to be approved in the Ministry of Labor, what you call the secondment contract, then probably what you need to understand is that the current employer, who is your visa owner, needs to approve to let the new person use you for what you call a 60 months, renewable, depending. However, it's something that you only need to understand. When it comes to secondment, there are also requirements that you are supposed to meet. Yes, first of all, one of the requirements that you need to understand is that your QID must be valid. Most of you will agree with me. You come into Qatar, and the first time you come, your sponsor, after 2 months, after getting for you the visa, after getting for you the QID, he will give you an NOC. But sincerely speaking, do you think you are going to change an NOC? You are going to change to a new job? Immediately you get a new ID into the country without even serving 1 year? No. The sponsors are aware. They know that for you to move to another company or to work for another company, you need what we call a secondment contract, of which the same secondment contract needs to be approved by them from this side. And some of you got folded that you're given what you call an NOC. Remember, an NOC expires. The company gives you an NOC, and that NOC is not going to run for 12 months. Remember, the ID runs for 12 months, 1 year. So probably you are left in that gap. So in that case, if you happen to fall in that kind of situation, this is what we call a secondment. The current employer who is willing to give you a job can apply for what you call a secondment contract with the Ministry of Labor. Once it is approved, then you can go and work with the other sponsor for either part-time and agree. However, something that you need to understand, the company that is going to hire you, the company that's going to hire you on a 6-month contract under what you call the secondment, which is also under what you call Article 14 of 2004 Labor Law, Qatar Labor Laws and its amendment. This company must be a licensed company that is allowed to hire, and it must not have what you call violations with the Ministry of Labor. Then also something that you need to understand, the secondment of that contract should not be beyond what you call the expiry of what you call your QID. And the secondment contract can only be approved 2 times, which is after 6 months renewable, meaning that once your ID expires, then probably it cannot be renewed, or it cannot be asserted, or cannot be allowed by the Ministry of Labor. So most of you that have been talking about what you call part-times, moving to one place to another, definitely something that you need to understand is what you call a secondment. And most of you can do what you call a secondment. They can do secondment and move on and try to look for work in another way or another company. However, still something that you need to understand. There are consequences for you if you work for another company that you don't have an authorization from, especially from the Ministry of Labor. The consequences will be filed against you, both of you, in case you are got in trouble. You are working for a company which is not your visa sponsor, and there is no secondment contract for you. One, we look at fines. Fines is 50,000 Qatar that will be fined to company, and also you as an individual, it may lead to deportation. However, something that you need to understand, these penalties come, but what is the fee for you to have what you call the secondment, or what is the fee for the company to apply for the secondment letter? According to the Ministry of Labor, it's only 500 Qatar riyal. So probably with that, if you're thinking of working part-time and the company is willing to take you, another company is willing to take you, definitely look at having what we call a secondment letter. Is going to help you. Hope I've tried to sharp something for you. Thank you so much. Sorry, Mex from the Mexcreation.